Hello Internet, welcome to a special evening recording edition of Different Spirits. The lighting is even more terrible than it usually is. I look like a smurf, but I am still super excited because today we get to return to a spirit category I do not spend enough time with, and neither do you, so let's talk about it. Calvados, the apple/pear spirit based in Normandy, France. I talked about the rules of Calvados and Pays in that original intro video, which I will link below. So I'm not going to go through all that again. We're just going to taste some Calva today. And the main star is going to be this Breuil, this cast strength, more or less, bottling. It's not a single barrel, but it's a small vatting. So this is the first time I've ever seen, cast strength Calva that I can actually buy. So I bought it because I was super excited, and we're gonna see how it is. But leading up to that, I've got some little baby Calvas to try out, and let's work through them. So these are two samples by my friend Crin on the Reddits. All right, so let's get these things poured. Won't be a minute. Ooh, difference in color. Look at that. All right, so glug. Incidentally, just on the topic of this Breuil here, before I get into it, if you buy one of these things, I will give you an important piece of information. So there is a string that when you buy it, there's a string that goes over it, the cork, like this. And because I'm an experienced spirits drinker, I looked at this and looked at the wax and I thought, oh, there's got to be something I need to do to the wax and the string thing in order to get the bottle open. I got to break out the knife or something like that. So what I did was I took the string off of the bottle. I dug it out of the wax. I took it off because I assumed that's what you need to do in order to get this thing open. It isn't. The cap just, the cork just comes straight off like that. And sometimes the wax falls off. That's a little bit annoying. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. The string is there as a fancy-dancy way to hold the cork on the bottle. That's it. So yeah, if you ever buy one of these things, just know you don't actually need to do anything to the string or the cork. Just pull the cork straight out. That's it. That's all you need to do. All right, back to the tastings. So we got 3 little baby Calvas lined up. They're all 40%. So we're gonna only do one run through with them, and then we're gonna do 2 run throughs with the big boy. First neat, and second with a little bit of water added. So what I got here? I got the Domaine de la Vectiere VSOP, bottled at 40%. Now, what excited me about this, I don't know when this is bottled. Probably all 3 of these are circa 2016, 17, somewhere in there. I know the Drouin. We'll get to the Drouin. They've come with a newer label since I bought this, so this is definitely an older bottling. But the others, I'm not so sure. But say 5 years ago or so. The Vectiere got me excited because the producers are smack dab in the middle of Domfrontais territory, which is basically the category of Calva that uses a huge proportion of pears in the production. You can use pears throughout Calva, but Domfrontais basically orders you to use a larger proportion of them. You'd also have to age it slightly longer. So now this is not marked as Domfrontais, it's only marked as a sort of generic Calvados. Nevertheless, I'm interested to see, are the pears kind of shown up? Because if so, I'd be excited because I like pear. The second one is exciting because of the sheer age factor. There's a little bit left in there. Let's pour that. This is a Menorval, Trevo, Calvados XO. This is apparently, it's not marked on the bottle, but rumored to be circa 15 years old. So that's exciting. I know nothing about it beyond that. Both of these are fairly inexpensive. The Vectiere is, just over $30. The Menorval here is just over 40 bucks, which is, if it really is 15 years old, that's crazy value for the age, right? And for third, I have a little half bottle of Christian Drouin, their selection. So Drouin is a big name in Calvados, particularly in the Pays d'Auge. This is not a Pays d'Auge, though. This is a generic Calvados. So I'm imagining at least some portion of this is column distilled. No age statement on this, so it has to be, a minimum of 2 years old. Can be older than that, but I mean, look at this color. That does not appear to have been aged particularly long to me, and not even in French oak. Otherwise, it would have picked up more color, right? So that's those three. So yeah, can't think of anything else to say about this. So well, anyways, I imagine there could, by the way, so let's another parenthetical. For the purposes of young Calvados, I really like the use of column distillation. I think it produces Pays d'Auge stuff can get really good when it gets old. We'll see what happens with this guy, but for just the little guys, if you just want some appley goodness in your life, like you don't have to you shouldn't necessarily be paying the extra 10 or 20 bucks for something from the higher appellation with pot distillation, because they tend to be a little bit more rough and aggressive and frankly sort of perfumey cologne in their youth. Apple spirits tend to get a little perfumey, but particularly the pot distilled ones. So that's just a little tip. Save yourself the money. You can totally buy a generic Calva. All right, let's go through these, starting with the Domaine de la Vectiere VSOP. I'm slaughtering all these pronunciations. I don't care, neither should you. It's all about the spirits, right? It's all about what's in the glass. That's interesting. That's a fun nose. What I'm getting is, first off, is kind of perfumed apple cheese note. So apple cheese is a note I've used in the past. I steal it from my wife and her family. In Lithuania, you and I guess many parts of Europe, you will basically boil down apples. Take out all the solids until you get basically this sludge that then hardens into what is called apple cheese, and you can preserve it. You can throw it in your cupboard, and it lasts for years, and it's delicious. If you have any memory of like fruit roll-ups, there was an apple one. You remember pulling that thing off and mashing it all together and kind of taking a bite of it. Apple cheese is like that, but better and sort of more pure and with more stuff going on. So that's what we're getting at. So it's apple cheese, but covered in nice post-war perfume. There's actually a genuine cheese note in this, though. There's a little hint of Parmesan, like good Parmesan. Then some prunes, a little plum, dried lychee fruit. Actually, I wonder if that's some pear coming through. I'm not really getting sort of direct pear notes, but I'm getting that lychee fruit note. Some dried flowers, some old tea bags. Dash of apple cider, but it's really only a dash in there. It's really more dominated with the apple cheese and the perfumes and all the other stuff. A little white pepper, a little what is that? Like a Peking duck sauce. Kind of a dusty earthiness, like autumn leaves, old autumn leaves, you've stored in a musty cellar for some reason. And a little bit of, what is that? Smoke, but like paper smoke, like you just, took your 8.5 by 11 and sort of set it on fire, that kind of smell. And a little oxidized Chardonnay, a little like, you try to keep your bottle of, Cali Chard for that third night and it didn't quite make it. That's kind of what I'm getting, a little bit. It's nice. On the palate, explosive. A lot of black pepper. Ooh. Okay, quite short in the mouth though, and which I mean, it actually lingers for a long time, but it kind of like stops at my molars. It kind of like goes here and then it's gone. Yeah, black pepper, appliness, applesauce, perfume. Kind of a combination lychee fruit juice and apple juice thing. Someone should make that and bottle it. That'd be awesome. Yeah, it's a difficult finish. It's sort of, it is nice and fun and enjoyable in the front of my mouth, but that's kind of the only place it is. There's some Darjeeling, there's some Balkan tobacco, there's some prunes, maybe like a plum, like a fresh plum or two. Oh, what is this? Something else, something like sweet and spicy. Kind of like a General Tso's chicken note. I know I already did Peking duck and I can't do that again, you know, Chinese food again, but that's kind of what I'm getting. I'm getting a little bit of a General Tso's chicken kind of thing on the palate. Oh, how do I score this? I mean, it's refreshing. It's nice. But it's also got some weight to it, right? But yeah, with the way it kind of like cuts short, kind of cuts short in the mouth, cuts short when in its finish. It doesn't cover my whole mouth. I'm left wanting a little bit more from this. I mean, for just over $30, I think this is a good fair deal. But I'm going to give this 82 points. Solid, but I am kind of left wanting more. Actually, I should say, so in my introduction, I was going to say, like, I think the winner for my intro to Calvados was actually this guy. It was, you know, this black and white label that looks like it was printed at their house or something. This little Claque-Pepin Calvados fine, 2-year-old. This was kind of the star of the show for me. Like, this was $30. I bought it on a whim just to have a basic Calvados appellation before I got to everything else, and it kind of really surprised me. And I gave this 83 points, and I kind of like this more than I like the little Vectiere. So that's something to mention. So that's kind of setting the standard for this entire review. Everything has to be better than that little $35 or $35 Claque-Pepin. And so far, as much as I like this little VSOP, and I kind of do, it's nice, I don't think it's actually better. Okay, moving on. Wait, let me try it one more time. No, I'm sticking with 82. All right, moving on to the Menorval. So this is a much older spirit. Look at that color. I don't know if that's a totally natural color. I don't know if it's stated on the bottle or not because I only have a sample. But, you know, assuming it's not too manipulated, this seems like it's been in some active oak for a good long time. All right, let's get going. Lots more oak on this, as you would expect from something older. There's lots of little things to kind of disentangle. This is very kind of, there's things going on, but they're all kind of wrapped into each other. It actually reminds me on the nose a little bit of Koval 4-grain whiskey. I know that's an odd comparison, but that's kind of the first thing that came to mind. That kind of fruity, burned note with a little hint of oatmeal in there. Yeah, I don't know why that came up first, but that's kind of what I got. I don't know if anyone made apple chewing gum. Someone has to have, right? But that's kind of what I'm getting first, along with some Jolly Ranchers. Lots of oak, though. Lots of kind of old Victorian furniture. White pepper. A little bit perfumey, but not nearly as much as the Vectiere, sorry. Just very, very lightly perfumed, very lightly floral. Some, oh, what is that? Some like hoisin sauce. Grapes, like just straight up supermarket grapes that you bought in the big bag that you saw like $4 on there and you thought it was $4, but it was $4 per pound and you ended up paying like $9. Some overstewed tea, some prunes, all, you know, the French oak notes, cherry, dried apple, some raisins. It smells very kind of whiskey-y, which is not necessarily bad, but let's see how it behaves on the palate. Oh. Oh. Okay, so this is not, that face I made was not from disgust in any way. This is actually quite delicious and quite appealing. The problem is just that shortness on the finish. There was a problem in the previous, glass. This is actually kind of worse on this. Like this just kind of cuts off, like it's both shallow in my mouth. It's sort of stopping even before my molars. It's shallow, but then the actual finish just kind of is gone after a moment. Let me try again. Okay, so it's much more woody. There it goes. I'm left with just this kind of vague woody note. That's the finish. It's actually less grippy and kind of more vague than the Vectiere, which is less expensive, remember, and less old. There's some, again, dried fruit, French oak, apples, dried apples, prunes, dried cherry, raisin. I mean, the most interesting part is the arrival of the finish. I'm sorry, the arrival. There's some cologne at first, big burst of fruity, dried fruitiness, some ground pepper, and then just they're gone. Then you're just kind of left with this kind of bitter, slightly fruity, overstewed tea kind of thing. Yeah, what do I do with this? I do kind of like the nose, and I feel like, you know, as a digestif for some folks who just want something that's going to kind of disappear on them, this is okay. I think they'll be into this, but like, this is just yeah, and there it goes. It's just the way this is such a disappearing act on me. That this goes all, you know, like Casper the Friendly Ghost in my mouth while I'm trying to enjoy the delicious, you know, oaky, appley flavors. That's a problem. I'm gonna give this, I'm gonna give this 80 plus points. I'm giving this a plus because I kind of like, the aromatics, and I kind of like the way how it reminds me of Caval for some reason. But definitely not my favorite thing on the table right now, and definitely not better than this, you know, Claque-Pepin, which is a problem. All right, let's clean up. All right, this is the one that should be, you know, really good. Christian Drouin Calvados Selection. All right, look at that color as compared to the last one. That is not old at all. All right, so no idea when this is bottled, circa 16, 17, maybe somewhere in there. Again, no age statement, no of any kind, but it has to be minimum 2 years old. I really should have started off the tasting with this because it's the youngest one. This is just the order in which I wrote my notes, so I'm really sorry that, that I didn't do that. All right, let's dive in though. Let's see what's happening in the nose. Okay, mix of apples. So I'm getting some Fuji apples, some really sweet apples. But then there's also some cider apples. There's a little bit of a sour note to this, which I enjoy. I'm an acid head, so anytime a spirit is throwing acid and sour and tartness at me, I am very happy. Black pepper, touch of vanilla, actually. ginger snaps. There's a minerality to this. There's some rocks. It reminds me a little bit of like champagne, like a Taittinger or something. There is also, what is that? Yep. There is also, and I mentioned this in the in my Clear Creek apple brandy review. There is a little bit of a PP note on this. I am getting a little, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of like a, you know, pea note. And it's not bad. It's actually kind of nicely worked into the texture. But it's, you know, if you're scared of that, this will be a problem. I'm totally into the PP note though, so because that's just how I roll. Apple skins too. This isn't just the fruit and the juice. This is like the stems, the skins, the core, and that's kind of it. There's it's actually more simple nose than. Maybe that's not fair. It's definitely a more simple nose than, say, the Vectiere, but I don't think it's, you know, but it's kind of right, you know, there with the Menorval in terms of complexity. There's not a whole lot going on here, and maybe that's the problem with the proof. Like all these are at 40%. All these feel a little bit kneecapped. You know, one red currant maybe, like a hint of a floral thing, but this is the least floral of all three of these. And that's kind of it. Clean, fresh, peppery, but not winning me over so far. Let's see how it is in the palate. So again, kind of thin, kind of short in the mouth, fades quickly, short finish. It isn't even really giving me the that sort of overstewed tea note that the Menorval was giving me. I mean, pleasant enough, but I just want more from this. Pepper. We're getting some black pepper. We're getting some pink peppercorn. The peppery part of this is my favorite part. It's the part that kind of lasts the longest. Some cider apples. Again, the stems and skins thing. A little kind of a smoky honey thing. Don't ask me where I'm getting smoky honey, but that's kind of what I'm getting. Like mesquite honey or something like that. And it's gone. And it's giving just kind of a peppery ashtray-like finish. Oh, what do I give this? Do I like this more than the Menorval? I'm really doubting myself now. I think I do like this more than the Menorval. Just a little bit. I'm going to give this like, what, an 81. I do like the little sour note. Yeah, I do like the little tart quality of this. I'm gonna give this an 81 plus for, you know, sourness. But overall, I'm kind of actually disappointed in these first three. Actually, I'm kind of doubting myself on this Claque-Pepin now. Like I gave this an 83. Is this actually better than a Do I have a... Sorry. I got an extra glass back here. All right. Is this clean? You know what? Clean enough. Let's do a head-to-head. I haven't opened this bottle in a while, so I hope it doesn't need oxygenation. So really, I just want to see, like, was I just sort of blown away by Calvados as such when I first reviewed this, and I was sort of out of my mind to give it 83? Because now I'm really doubting myself, because these are not crap producers. Drouin is a good producer, and I I remember liking this Claque-Pepin more, and it's like $10 less expensive. So here we go. On the nose, I mean, it's kind of in the same flavor camp as the previous three, the Claque-Pepin that I'm nosing right now. Yeah, it smells kind of like a halfway point between the Drouin and the Vectiere. It's got more of a pure apple flavor, still some pepper, but a little perfuminess too. A little bit of that sort of oxidized Chardonnay kind of note, that appley character. But nothing super remarkable on the nose compared to the other three. On the palate, so now I'm like super worried. Did I overscore this or something? No, no, it did not. Okay, that's why I gave this the extra points. What just happened there? This fills up my mouth for some reason. Like this is kind of presented the same way as the others, right? 40%, so far as same. Not marked filtered or anything like or unfiltered, anything like that. But this has a presence and an authority in my mouth that the others do not have. This sort of clings on and covers my entire mouth in a way I appreciate much more than these others so far. Yeah, peppery, appley, has some tea notes. Oh, I like this a lot. God damn. Yeah, this is the one you should buy. Of this entire lineup, this is the one you should buy. The Claque-Pepin I already reviewed. All right, moving on though. So what do we got here so far? We got Vectiere gets 82. This is actually okay. I kind of like this, especially like in the context and for the price. The Menorval gets 80 plus. Yeah, and the Drouin gets an 81 plus because I like the sort of slight sourness of it. It's a little bit sort of thirst quenching, which I can appreciate. All right, but moving on to the main part of the show. All right, so this is the Chateau de Brill, and I haven't said anything about this yet, have I? Aside from the fact the cast strength thing. Fût number 97, 13 years old. All right, and this is bottle for 3,450 bottles. Bottled at what strength? 52.2% alcohol. So Breuil, terrific producer. Hard to get. Well, not that hard to get in the U.S., but expensive in the U.S. because they're being brought in by Pacific Edge, who are also the same folks bringing in Springbank, and we've already talked about that. I did not get this through them. Just noting that. So 13 years old. Cast strength Calvados. This should be good. This should be very good indeed. Also, it's Pays d'Age, right? So this is all long fermentation, pot distilled, and that's just by the rules of the appellation. All right, moving my notes over. On the nose. Holy crap! Different universe from the others. Very intense, sort of apple candy. The apple cheese note I was getting a little earlier, that's back big time. Kind of less perfume, more like old man cologne from, again, post-war though. There's like a candy bar note on this, like a Mars bar. Like it reminds me of this really smells like a sherried space cider in certain ways. It smells like I'm nosing a really good Aberlour or something like that. It has that sort of, candied dried fruit, chocolatey, malty thing going on, which can manifest in those whiskeys as appliness. But here it is actually just appliness. Oh, it's a nice nose. Black tea leaves, white pepper. Lots of dried fruit, mixed dried fruits, prunes, raisins, dried cherries, Maybe like a dried orange in there. More black tea, a couple of wildflowers. There's like a Mexican mole note, like the black mole, the one with chocolate. That is definitely at work here. This sort of spicy, chocolatey, saucy thing. Some honey, like a Manuka honey, so like a a kind of heavy, weird honey. Like one mint sprig, like fresh mint. And tobacco note, this reminds me of something tobacco-wise, and I cannot remember what the hell it is. It's a flake tobacco, but it's like Latakia maybe. There's some Latakia is the tobacco that they dry out by smoking it. With it's much more piney than you would think. It has like this piney, smoky character. There's also like a Perique note in there too, though. Really good nose. It's, I mean, you could mistake this for actually like a sherried space cider, except it's there's so many weird things going on the palate. Quite good. Very good indeed. Perfume and cologne, but nice. I'm enjoying it. Lots of dried apple slices. Lots of dried fruit, prunes, raisins. There's a Snickers bar in here. A little bit of a nutty note along with the chocolatey note. And then the caramel and the nougaty stuff. Some chocolate-covered cherries, some raisinets, which I always found kind of disgusting, but here I'm enjoying them. Black tea, white pepper. That sort of tobacco-y thing, the Latakia Perique thing. Cornell and Deal used to make some kind of flake. Sunset something. Sunset Harbor, I think it was. Which was kind of Perique and Latakia and I think some Orientals and Virginias in there too. Kind of giving it a little bit of a sour twinge. And I'm definitely getting some Sunset Harbor flake in here. I miss tobacco. And then like we're right back to heavily sherried, kind of a floral space cider. That's really good. That's really interesting. One more sip. Gotta do it. Head and shoulders over everything else in this table. And I say that having kind of enjoyed the my return to the Claque-Pepin. All right, let's give this a squirt of water. And return to it in a minute. So that's, ooh, I should make some kind of comment while I'm waiting. So that's kind of a little bit of a shock to me. Like this is, again, I did not have any expectations from this when I bought it. I just thought I need a cheap Calvados, and this is kind of the cheapest I can get. This was $30, and yeah, I mean the fact that it's beating out Drouin, which was a big name producer, right? That's beating out like 15-year-old offerings. I don't know what these guys are doing, but they seem to, my sense is they're just presenting it better somehow, in some way that I can't tell. They're doing a better presentation than the rest of the three in this lineup. I'm guessing it's a filtration thing. I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing there's just some oils and stuff in this that are not there on the others anymore. Actually, let me just, can I do this first lineup again before I go back to the Breuil? All right, so this is the Vectiere. Yeah, that's my favorite of the three on the table. Well, the three I'm officially tasting, right? Menorval. more whiskey-like, more oaky, disappears faster. Drawn. Hangs on longer than the Menorval. Does have that slightly more sour thing going on, slightly more peppery thing, which is whence the plus. But I mean, hang on, let's try the Claque-Pepin. Yeah, I can tell it's not any stronger, but for some reason, even though it's not really showing up more on the nose, on the palate, this is just doing more. Sorry, thunderstorm going on outside. Extreme weather conditions. Go buy the Claque-Pepin. I don't know what else to say. Back to the big Breuil 13-year-old. On the nose. Okay, here we go. So the floral notes, that perfumey cologne thing, has kind of calmed down. So what I'm left with, really, there's actually a little bit of a sulfur note coming out, believe it or not. A little struck match. What I'm left with is really just smells like an amazingly good sherried Speyside whiskey, Scotch whiskey. This smells like a really good Glenfarclas, is what I'm getting. And I'm totally okay with that. On the palate, a little more appley. Oh, that has a gorgeous, gorgeous development to it. Hang on, let me try this one more time. Lots of apples up front, lots of sherried whiskey. But then, that Latakia note, the sort of piney smokiness, piney smoky tobacco thing, starts to come out in the development, while still retaining that kind of Glenfarclas-y character. More Sunset Harbor or whatever. Look it up. Maybe I'll look it up below. I don't know. There's kind of a spritz of lemon juice in there. There's some citrus. Oh man. Minerality, sours. Maybe like the Speyside was wrong. This is more like sherried Rosebank or something, like a sherried, lemony, acidy, minerally driven Lowlander or something. This is very good. This is an 88-point spirit. It's very good, very good. And I would use this as an opportunity to say, like, Calvados, fix these, right? Fix your entry levels. Bump it up to 42, 43%. Do what you got to do. I don't, charge more money if you need to. There'll be better values for it. Or, as an alternative, if you don't like that, if you really cannot, push yourself to do anything more, at least make your entry levels more like this guy. This little bottling with black and white label from somebody's home printer. Make it more like this. That's kind of all I got. My 83 for the Claque-Pepin, that stands. Good, very good value too. 82 for the Vectiere, 80 plus for the Menorval, 81 plus for the Drouin Selection, and an 88 points for the Breuil 13-year-old number 97. This is very good though. And that's what I got. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Hope this was educational and helpful and all that stuff. And cheers.